Palworld has 6 million players in just 4 days. What an absolute insane amount of people playing in what is essentially less than a week since the game's release. And like with any successful indie game, there's always a bunch of haters that pop up out of nowhere. In this case, it's a bunch of Pokemon Game Freak shows and other game developers that are coping, sitting, and molding over the success of the game. It's arguably the funniest thing I've seen since the beginning of the year. And the two main reasons as to why they're hating on it is for the supposed use of AI and stolen art designs from Pokemon. Mind you, this has zero basis, zero facts behind such accusations. I get the hate for AI art. I really do. A bunch of AI art just looks terrible. And it looks all glossy, it looks all weird. So I understand why people don't like it. But the thing with Palworld is that the designs look pretty solid. Yes, they look Pokemon-ish, almost in some instances look like straight ripoffs. But I don't think that's because they actually ripped all the models, I just think they were inspired by them. Now, in terms of AI, I don't hate it because to me, AI is just a tool. And like any tool, it's going to be improved and refined over time to the point at which the things that AI can do will be indistinguishable from the current art that exists today. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I think depends on the individual. But that's just my take. In terms of the stolen designs, to be fair, there's only so many ways you can design a wolf before they all start to look the same. And what I mean by this is, a dog is going to be a quadruped, it's going to have a snout, might have a mane, it's going to have a tail. At a certain point, you design 50 wolves, they're all going to look the same, okay? So I get why people are complaining that Lycanroc and the wolf pal from Palworld, the game, look the same. It's because they're both inspired by wolves, guys, come on. Is the design creatively bankrupt? Sure. But there's only so much inspirational design you can take before it all starts to blend together. And if you want a perfect example of this, go look at StarCraft and Warhammer 40k. You can't tell me the Zerg aren't literal dollar brand Tyranids. The weird thing about this whole controversy is the fact that the game plays nothing like Pokemon. So I question why people are threatened by this game's existence if it's not a direct competitor to them. It doesn't make sense. The game isn't turn-based at all. It's action-based. You can shoot, you can move, you can react. If you play Pokemon Arceus, you can kind of see where I'm going, but even that game still has turn-based combat. The game plays more like Ark Survival Evolved and Rust. And in my opinion, there's also a little bit of Valheim in there as well, especially in the base building. But the game has an emphasis on base building, base defense. That is where you're going to spend most of your time doing, is upgrading your base, collecting things, but making your base better, increasing your pals in your base, having them work like slaves, and working a 9 to 5, the usual sort of thing. I want to be clear that the success of Palworld isn't that big of a threat to Nintendo, or rather Game Freak. I don't like Game Freak as much as the next guy. But Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have sold over 23 million copies in their entire lifespan. And despite those two games being some of the worst performing games on the Switch, I think it'll take Palworld multiple successful updates in order to really become a threat to Pokemon. Because, let's face it, nothing can really take down that three-headed dragon that is Pokemon, man. It's just too big. Hell, there was even a mod out there that replaced all the pals in Palworld with Pokemon. There clearly is a desire for a Pokemon open world game that just hasn't been delivered. And now I'm aware that Arceus, like I mentioned earlier, I'm aware Pokemon Legends Arceus exists. But it doesn't play like Palworld does. And to be honest, comparing the two isn't fair because Arceus just feels very bare bones. It doesn't do quite enough of what could be possible with an open world Pokemon game. Whereas Palworld takes that concept and just expands it, multiplies it times 100. Speaking of which, please, Game Freak, make a Legends Unova game. I'm begging you. Going back to that Pokemon mod, it's funny how Nintendo, the company that is notoriously known for hating on their fans and going so far as taking down fan projects, to the surprise of absolutely no one, has gone after the Pokemon Palworld mod maker. Did they send them a cease and desist? I have no idea. But what I do know is you don't mess with Nintendo ninjas, man. They'll come out of nowhere and they'll make you disappear. It's ridiculous. The mod didn't even last 24 hours before it got taken down. What a world we live in. Anyhow, I just wanted my opinion out there on the internet because I kept seeing videos talking about this entire situation, and I figured, hell, why not give my own take on it? Anyways, let me know what you think about this down in the comment section, and if you want to find out what's next for the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all later. Peace out.